Hi, in this video you will learn how to compile Godot for Windows, the Godot export templates for Windows, and how to build the Godot documentation. We will use the TDM-GCC compiler in Python, and we will download and keep the required Python dependencies for later use. If you just want to use Godot, then this video is a bit extensive. In that case, just visit the official Godot website and download the editor and the export templates. The documentation contains an easy step-by-step tutorial for beginners. First, we download the TDM-GCC compiler. Then we download Python, making sure we choose the Windows installer. We download the Godot source code from a stable release. We also download the Godot documentation source files. We have to manually select the version we want to download. Because we want to unpack and pack files, we download 7-zip. Your download folder should look like this. We continue installing 7-zip. Then we install the TDM-GCC compiler. We make sure the path variable is set. Holding Shift and clicking right, we can open a command line interpreter where we test our installation. We continue installing Python. Here we also make sure the path variable is set. We can test the Python installation the same way we tested the TDM-GCC installation. Then we unpack the source files for Godot and the Godot documentation. We create the virtual environment for Python so we can avoid polluting the normal installation. Then the virtual environment has to be activated. This has to happen every time we open a new command line interpreter. We download the required Python packages for building Godot and the Godot documentation. The directory with the downloaded Python packages should look something like this. We also back up the Python packages by packing them and storing them in our download directory. Now we install the Python packages from the local directory. The idea is that you can install the packages in the future without being online. We switch to the Godot documentation root directory and build it. Then we back up the files we just built by packing them and storing them in our download directory. And we go back to the parent directory. This is a short summary of the important steps for you to reproduce what we just did. We can open the documentation we have just built in our browser. There are 3 pages describing the build process of Godot and the Godot export templates. The following steps are based upon those pages. We first compile the editor and the debug and release export templates for minimal size using multiple threads. Using multiple threads will result in a linking error, and because of that we will repeat the linking process with a single thread. We change to the Godot source directory and start the build process using those 6 different commands. Which will take some time. Again, we back up the files we just built by packing them and storing them in our download directory. Here is another short summary of the important steps for you to reproduce what we just did. Here we can see our backups of the editor with the export templates, the documentation and the required Python packages in case we want to build them in the future without being online. These are the directories we can now safely delete. Here we just unpack the backup of the documentation and open it in the browser. We also unpack the backup of the editor and the export templates. We create a file which signals the editor to run in the so-called self-contained mode, which means files are created in a local directory, which again is good for testing purposes. Now we run the editor. Yeah, no. We write a little application to test the editor and the export templates. Now when exporting, we make sure to select the proper export templates for the debug and release version. We carefully acknowledge this little checkbox which decides which version to use. Finally, we run our exported application. It works. Yay! That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and if you did, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to support the creation of future content. Bye! Oh, and thank you!